What is one secret your parents can never know? When I was about 11 or 12, I was going through my pyromaniac stage. One Saturday, I decided I would grab a steel can and fill it with gasoline and head to the woods. Now, this wasn't just your typical old can of SpaghettiOs. This was a 1-gallon bulk-sized can, filled to the brim. I took it to the woods and decided it would be cool just to light it on fire and see what would happen. I lit it, and it caught like I expected and kept burning inside the can. After about 15 minutes I got bored and went to try and put it out. In the process, I knocked the can over, spreading gasoline all over the forest floor, and it erupted in a ball of flame. I quickly ran back to my house to get water, and I come running back with about 5 gallons. By this point the fire had spread tremendously and my efforts were useless. I decided my best bet would be to run inside and play video games. Luckily this spot in the woods was pretty good ways away from my parents' house, so it didn't draw my parents' attention immediately. After about an hour or so, the entire fire department is on scene battling the 3-4 acres of forest fire that is roaring. There was a road that runs behind my house, and the fire basically engulfed all of the forest separating my parents' house and this road. This road is notorious for drug dealers and meth houses. While the firefighters are trying to battle the flames, it is discovered that the house closest to the fire is a rather large cookhouse, and cops show up and a huge bust goes down. Naturally, the fire was blamed on them, and my parents just accepted that. It is now 20 years later, and my parents still do not know, nor will they ever know. TL. Doctor set fire to 3-4 acres of woods. Meth house got blamed. Parents will never know. Edit. Jesus Christ, I posted this way late and expected it to get buried so quick, but maybe 5 to 10 people who were bored at work, like me, would see it and get a laugh. I never expected double gold or a ton of karma. I feel like I don't deserve this. After my sis died, I locked myself in her room and went through everything alone before her friends or my parents went through her stuff to pack it away or give it to her friends. I found pics, empty bottles of alcohol, and a letter she had wrote, but I guess never gave, to her then boyfriend, telling him the story of how she was as a younger teenager. I threw everything like that out, but kept that letter. It's been 12 years and I just found the letter again as I was packing up to make room for baby. I can't bring myself to throw it away. Good on you for being that filter. I shudder to think about people going through my shit after I die and finding all my skeletons. Is there an official term for this? Should this be a thing? I need to designate someone to do this, otherwise I'll ruin a lot of memories of me. When I was in elementary school, I was at Target with my mom and sister. At the checkout counter I saw these cinnamon flavored Tic Tacs, and I had to have them because I hadn't fully developed the whole want/need function in my brain. I knew my mom wouldn't buy them for me, so I grabbed them sneakily and put them in my pocket sneakily. I felt pretty guilty the whole way home and didn't make eye contact with anyone in case they could read my mind. As soon as I was inside the safety of my home, I made my way upstairs sneakily and opened my hot goods. They were awful. Easily my least favorite Tic Tac. I ended up throwing them in the garbage can outside sneakily to avoid any suspicion. This is my shame, and I carry it alone. Except now with theoretically thousands of people. TLDR, the only time I ever stole anything, the fruits of my victory turn rotten in my mouth. The police are on their way. Target doesn't forgive. Target doesn't forget. My mom read through my Facebook messages and found out that I had sex with 3 people. She called me a slut 4 years after. She never needs to know what that number actually is. Your mom sounds like a very unhappy person. How to use a computer, apparently. My mother-in-law is the same way. She keeps getting viruses and asking us to fix it, even though we live 19 hours away, or buy her a new one. She recently started seeing a guy who's a gamer and has suddenly decided she wants us to buy her a gaming PC, even though the most advanced game she plays is Candy Crush. One time I dropped an entire roll of toilet paper into the bowl when trying to change it. I didn't want them to know I ruined an entire roll. so I hid it in my closet, and over a course of a few weeks I would rip away pieces and throw them away. Edit. Since some people seem to be assuming my parents were horrible and I was frightened, that's definitely not the case. I was just a dumb kid that was embarrassed about dropping a whole roll in the toilet. You went to an extreme length to get away with that. It's the Shawshank method. That the reason I'm terrible with women is because growing up, whenever I mention a girl, be it a friend or classmate or whatever, I'd get made fun of by them, my parents, calling her my girlfriend and shit. Now I don't tell them anything. Edit. Wow, I'm glad I'm not the only one like this. Glad/sad a lot of you can relate. Also, thank you kind stranger for the Reddit gold. Now then, how do I go about exchanging said gold for a girl I can date without letting my parents know? You can't put your awkwardness with women all on your parents. At some point you have to take charge of your romantic life and avoid thinking that you have to seek the approval of anyone outside of your relationship/friendship with the girl. Edit. Gold? Well, that's a great way to start off my new year. No, this is Reddit. Everyone is a victim here, get used to it. I was 10ish and my dad had just painted the boiler room door orange in our basement. My younger brother and I were pushing each other around on a scatterboard in basement and my dad warned us, "Don't you dare hit this door with your skateboard." 15 minutes later I'm picking my brother up from the ground and looking at a hole in my dad's orange door caused by said skateboard. Definitely not telling dad. Instead I grab a piece of orange construction paper and a glue stick to patch the hole. It matched surprisingly well. 27 years later that construction paper is still holding strong, and I have never heard a word about it from my pop. I can never tell them that my #1 goal as a parent is to handle relationship issues differently than they did. They went through an extremely messy divorce when I was 8 and my only memory of them together is them screaming at each other and my sister and I hiding in our rooms. Then it was 10+ years of them talking shit about each other to us, putting us in the middle of all their arguments and giving us a huggy guilt trip whenever they felt like we were spending more time with the other one than with them. It's been 20 years now, and my mom will still talk shit about my dad and stepmom every once in a while, despite me asking her over and over to stop. I'm happily married, but if I were to ever get divorced I will never put my daughter in the middle of arguments, speak badly about her father to her, or make her feel guilty for having a relationship with him. It's the #1 thing I learned from my parents and I think they would be devastated to realize the true effect it has had on me. To be honest, the kind of people who use their children like that aren't usually the type to be devastated about it later. Sorry. Internet hugs though. You seem to have learned from their mistake and good on you. That party I threw in high school when you guys were out of town for the weekend that you found out about due to my snitch ass neighbors wasn't just some guys drinking beer and playing poker. It was actually an ecstasy fueled orgy, and yes, your bed was used. Throw away cause ain't no way they can find out about this. When I was about 10 I discovered the ability to jerk in my jerkin. Oh, those were great times tugging in the shower. I soon after discovered the vast world of the internet and its dark places. One day I decided to start going at it in my room. Well, it was about time to finish up and had nowhere to shoot. So I splodged on the floor and rubbed it in. No big deal, right? Our carpet was an off-white, so when I rubbed it in it would just disappear. I did this for 10 years, people. I had no idea jizz smelled. I guess neither did my parents. One day they started to notice the stench. They chalked it up to my dog always laying in my room and my friends having stank ass feet. As did I. One day I got curious after learning jizz glows under black light. Borrowed my brother's black light, went to my room, closed the door, flipped the switch, and holy the carpet in my room was brighter than the morning sun. I noped the to there with that black light and buried that memory to this day. 4 years later my GF starts going on and on about how jizz smells like dirty wet dog and feet after it's dry, and it clicks. My room stank of jizz for years. That's a dirty secret I'll take to the grave. TL. Dr. My room was a literal jizz palace. Edit. Lumfeo, this blew up. You guys crack me up. Glad to know I wasn't the only one splodging all over the carpet in my room. P.S. Don't tell my parents.